thinks in this book is a kind of like extended dialogue about the ethics of science. What are we supposed to do if a scientist invents something that is potentially dangerous? Should we prioritize science over individual human lives? And that's a theme that comes out over and over in this book. So maybe I could read a passage that's about that. Let's see. Okay. All right. So at this point, Godzilla is invading Tokyo. This announcement is from the Emergency Broadcast Service. Repeat, this announcement is from the Emergency Broadcast Service. As of 1740, an urgent warning has been issued. We have reports that Godzilla has shifted its course and seems to be moving northwest. A complete evacuation order has been issued for Minato, Shinagawa, Ota, and the other coastal wards. Repeat, this emergency broadcast is from the Emergency Broadcast Service. Back at Dr. Yamane's household, Shinkichi had no sooner left than someone rang the front doorbell. Emiko went and found Ogata there wearing heavy navy slacks and a light aqua-colored open neck shirt. In his hand, he had a navy hat with a wide brim. Is the professor in? His question was friendly, but there was something else. He's here, but Ogata, I wish you could have been here earlier. Shinkichi was here until just a moment or two ago. What business did he have? It doesn't matter. Come in, I'll call my father right away. Emiko led him into the living room. Ogata put his hand on the window and started gazing outside of the searchlights, lighting up the nighttime sky. There was a worried look in his eyes. Creak. The door opened and the professor charged him dizzily with heavy footsteps. He was shaking with rage. Worried, Emiko followed him in from behind and quietly asked, Papa, what's the matter? She peered into his face as she whispered this question. They're wasting a 1 in a million chance. Wanting to catch the king of the Jurassic in a giant electric chair? This is sheer madness. The professor wasn't speaking to anyone in particular, just flinging words out angrily. Ogata had been standing by the window watching the night sky, his facial muscles tense as he turned. Professor, I'm of the opposite opinion. The conversation was off to a bad start. How long would this continue? Ogata, I've given this a lot of thought. No scholar in the world has ever seen a creature like Godzilla before, but here he is, right here in Japan. A living fossil, priceless. Ogata responded emphatically. Professor, we can't let that berserk offspring of the bomb just run around wild. If anything, Godzilla himself is the hydrogen bomb hanging over Japan right now. The professor responded, he absorbed all the radiation from the hydrogen bomb and still survived. Why aren't you interested in trying to figure out the secrets of his incredible vitality? Ogata bit his lip and stared so hard at the professor that he could have practically bored a hole in him. So you two are arguing that we ought to exterminate Godzilla? Get out of here! Just go! Go! Perhaps the professor was speaking rashly, but he gestured to shoo Ogata from the room. Please, Professor, hold on just a minute. Ogata quickly moved in front of him and blocked the way. Don't you understand how terrified everyone in Japan is right now because of Godzilla? The muscles in the doctor's face began to twitch, moved out from the mental anguish of standing up to the professor to whom he was so indebted. He took a letter out from his left breast pocket. It crinkled as he opened it and stuck it in front of the professor. Oh. The professor almost cried out in surprise. It was the same as the letter that he had been shown just a moment ago. You got one of these letters too? What? You already know about this? Yeah. Shinkichi came here just now to show me a letter like this. Oh, I see, said Ogata. But Shinkichi and I weren't the only ones to get letters like this. As far as I know, there have been about 20 so far. All of the people who got them were involved with the Godzilla problem somehow. Let me be clear. People all over Tokyo are trembling because of this strange letter. They've even been saying that that the author of this letter, who calls himself the leader of the Tokyo Godzilla Society, must be you, Professor Yamane. What? Emiko let out a cry of surprise. All the color drained from the professor's face and he slumped into the sofa. It makes sense that people would think that. We shouldn't kill Godzilla. That's what you're saying after all, Professor. That seems to be the intent of this letter, too. I don't think it's a stretch to say that even the letters seem to be saying more or less the same thing. And Emiko couldn't stand it any longer and burst out. Ogata, this is too much, simply too much. It's ridiculous to insinuate that Papa might be involved with this Tokyo Godzilla Society somehow. She began a song, rendering the remainder of her words inaudible. Ogata spoke out clearly in support. But we believe in you. Right then, beep, beep, they heard the gloomy sound of the radio emergency broadcast system. They grew in their breath sharply as they pricked up their ears. This announcement is from the emergency broadcast service. Repeat, this emergency announcement is from the emergency broadcast service. Just now, at 1930, aerial surveillance discovered Godzilla headed towards the coast somewhere in Tokyo, Kawasaki, and Yokohama. As soon as he reaches land for the first attack, the coastal perimeter of the region will be electrified with high voltage. All the people in the vicinity are to exercise extreme caution. So, Godzilla's movements had begun. He was once again headed towards the coast. In one of the houses, a canary hanging in a cage from the eave cocked its head suspiciously and twittered. Anyway, there's in that little passage, there's a part about a subplot that never appears in the film, but that only appears in the novel. In the book version, there's a group that calls themselves the Tokyo Godzilla Society that starts sending messages to all the important people in Tokyo, saying that Godzilla is a god. He needs to be worshipped. He needs to be respected, and anyone who tries to oppose Godzilla will be smashed. And so this is something that somehow got dropped out of the movie. I'm not quite sure why. And I'm not quite sure exactly what the author was trying to accomplish by including a subplot in the story, but it's one of the many interesting wrinkles in the story that makes it a little bit different from